Okay. Okay, so much. Good evening and good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and welcome today to Tekedia Career Week. I understand that many of our members sent us a note asking if we can make this a job fair. So is that really our plan to start making this a job fair? We just want to discuss career without getting worried about job. Job is just part of career. So we are opening up this week, and our faculty, Elizabeth Nyah, will be helping us on basically discussing some of the most critical elements of career. And we're so honored to have her today, and I think she's already in the board. So she will speak for roughly 25, 30 minutes, and after that, she will take question and answer. And also to our members that are in the board who cannot essentially use Zoom because they are still at work. If you have questions as usual, please just put it on the comment section and we will get it onto the Zoom here. So welcome to the first day of Tekedia Career Week. This will run from today to Saturday, the same time at 7 p.m. West African time. So faculty, welcome. And over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. I must congratulate you on the amazing work you're doing with Tekedia. I remember what started as a dream has almost become a community. So this is to say kudos to you and your amazing team. Inky is always so very warm and helpful whenever she reaches out. Can you hear me clearly, please?
Yes, please, we do. Thank you so much, faculty. Thank you.
Great, thank you, and welcome to the Tekedia Career Week. Let me say hello to Abdullahi. I see Adebayo, Isaiah, Augustus, Akpan. If you are around and you can hear me, just type in the chat box and say hello. I'm not sure where you're joining from, but I'm in Lagos, Nigeria, and it's evening here. I see Good Child, Imanche, Irene, Jude, Julia, such a pleasure to have you. Kenneth, hello Kenneth. I hope I am doing justice to that name, Kwagana. Hello Kwagana, let me know if I did justice to the pronunciation of your name. I see Nkechi, Odiakosa, Okonkwo, Sam Victor, Somto Chukwu, Stella. I see you all, and it's such a delight to be here. Oh, thank you, Kwagana. It's such a delight to be with you this evening. I see Suleiman and Ibukun also. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Jude from Dubai. It's good to be connecting with you. Oladimeji just joined. I see you all. So as you come on board, just say hello so that we can truly connect. Okay, so my name is Elizabeth Nyah, like you know already. So please, if you're not speaking, kindly mute so that we minimize the distractions as much as possible. So I am aware that we may have a mixed audience. In other words, we have people from various stages of their career journey. So as much as possible, I will try in my analogies, in the presentation style and all, to touch on all aspects of the career so that it's an engaging and robust conversation. Can you still hear me, please?
Yes, please. Yes, absolutely.
We are hearing you.
Great. Great. Okay, so I'm hoping that the next 20 minutes, please, if you're not speaking, host, can you help us mute so we minimize distractions? So I'm hoping the next 20 minutes will be really impactful, really impactful one for you. In fact, the subject of careers is one that everybody should be having conversations about because the workplace is very dynamic. So I've called the title or the theme, of this is the blueprint for success with respect to career innovation. So please, if I'm running too fast, feel free to let me know via the chat. And we will have, like Prof said, a very robust Q&A session. So in the course of the conversation, you could either drop your questions, comments, feedback in the chat box, or just take notes and we would treat extensively at the end of the session. So through the course of the session or within the next 20 minutes, what I hope to achieve is to do a brief introduction on the subject of careers. We'll be talking a bit about definitions, because a lot of times, people wonder, how is my career different from my job? How many careers can I possibly have in a lifetime, and the rest of that. So, and also we'll be looking very quickly at the blueprint for career success. We'll also, in the course of this conversation, try to bust some career myths, because there's so many of them. I wonder if we'll be able to do justice to all of them this evening. And we'll do a quick recap, and finally, the Q&A session. So it promises to be a very engaging time. I'll be calling on us from time to time, so I hope we're comfortable with that. The essence is to ensure that there is co-learning. The concept of co-learning is becoming very rampant these days. Like they say, a tree cannot make a forest. So regardless of how long you have been in the workplace, because of the nature or the dynamism of the workplace, it's, you really cannot touch on all the topics. So I'm hoping that currently we have about 31 people in the room. I'm hoping we can leverage your years of experience to have a very robust conversation this evening. So this young man is called Jack. I'd like to introduce you to him. Does he look familiar at all? If he looks familiar, let me know. Just put it in the chat box. Yes, I think I've met Jack somewhere. Jack does really look familiar. Does Jack look familiar to anybody here? Anybody think you've met Jack on TV, anywhere? I'm not seeing your comments yet. Does Jack look familiar to anybody? No, not at all. Okay, so I'm just going to tell us a brief story about Jack. So Jack is a young man, very promising, talented young man who had a job that he absolutely loved. He was a software developer in one of the top software companies in the world. And incidentally, a few years ago, we had to attend an interview. And when they asked Jack, so Jack, why are you applying for a job? Why do you think you need another job? Why do you want to move office? And Jack said that actually, it's not my desire. At the time when, this time, if you had asked me this time last year if I'll be looking for another job, I would have told you an outright no. But incidentally, my office moved and they didn't give me the new address. In other words, he got to work one day and found out that the office has relocated, and nobody bothered to tell him where the new office was. Can you imagine? If you were Jack, what would you do? Let me gauge your reaction. So just imagine yourself getting to work one day and you find out that, what's happening? I used to work with ABC and company, but you get to work and the security is questioning you and you're like, no, I work here. My office is on the 11th floor. And they say, oh, sorry, ABC has moved. How would you feel if you were Jack? Oh, correct. I love your spirit, Eitayo. This is the typical Niger spirit. Whatever life brings, remove. And that's the basis of resilience. I love that. Thank you very much for that comment. So that's Jack for you. And so like I said, one of the reasons, okay, I'm shocked. Okay, Ayomide, I'll call my colleagues to understand what's going on. Absolutely. In fact, for the first few minutes, you are going to be wondering, what happened? Did I lose address? Devastated. Thank you, Kwagana. It's a whole, the emotions at that time. In fact, and God help you, I hope your rent is not due. I hope your wife isn't expectant. Just so many things going on at the back of your mind. But just like Ayitayo said, it's life. And life happens. In fact, there is a particular sector in Nigeria that is very notorious for things like this. You just get to work, you try to log in, and it's telling you wrong password. And you, in fact, God help you not to distort the keys on your keyboard. You're going to keep typing, what happened now? I used this password yesterday. No, but really that's life. And they'll tell you very nicely, oh, I think you should see HR. And really, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in HR. And that's why a lot of people have beef for HR. And they'll tell you, I think you should see HR. And HR will tell you, oh, sorry, Mr. Jack, I have something for you. And just like that, an organization that you have literally labored for all your life, you've given, like we say, you've given your sweat, you've given your blood, you've given everything, just dumps you like a piece of rubbish. It can be a very devastating experience. And that's why really conversations around career should be taken very seriously. So I'm very happy that it's part of the curriculum of the Tekedia mini MBA, because the truth is so many people, just this kind of experience comes to people with a shock. And for some people, they never really recover. Some people get into depression, they never really recover. But really, that shouldn't be your experience. It may happen, but like Itayo says, we move. So another reason why you should pay attention this evening is so that you don't end up becoming like Jack. So we move. Trying to share, great. Okay, so what really is career growth? Before we progress, it'll be good to lay some background definitions, and to put context to our conversation this evening. So what is career growth? Or maybe we should break it down and start with what is a career? Prof gave a hint at the beginning of the session saying that your career is not your job. And that's so very true. And just like this image, the career is a series of jobs you're going to have throughout your lifetime. In other words, your grad, your post-grad job, your first job, second job, third, up until, in fact, I think there's a research that says that the average adult will change jobs about 18 times before, retirement. So that's really, it's the series of jobs that you have or you hold in the course of your work life. That's really what a career is. But also, we really cannot exhaust the subject of careers without talking about individual jobs, because what launches you, or the kickstarts of your career, as it were, is your first job. Will it determine how your career would end? Absolutely not. But it's the first step. Like they say, this journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So your first job is like the entrance or the baptism, as it were, into the career world. So what really is career growth? How would you define someone who's growing or successful in a career? So if I were to say Ayomide is successful in a career, what are those features? What are those things I should be looking out, from Ayomide, and what does it really entail? We'll try to do that very quickly before our 20 minutes runs out. Okay, so having said that, how do you start your careers? And also, I am aware, like I mentioned earlier, that we have a mixed bag. So I'm sure that we have people possibly still in school. We have people, fresh graduates. We have people entry-level careers. We have people in mid-level, and possibly people in the late, almost preparing for retirement. But like some people say, we never retire. It's something that is becoming very popular these days. So people are saying, even after I have reached the end of my work life, typically, then I start again. If we know the story of Colonel Sanders of KFC, he started that very successful business almost at retirement age. So, but how do you even get into a career, so to speak? What's the beginning? How do I know, what's the kind of career that I should have or that will be good for me? The first is it's a process. So just like every other thing, like we say, if you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. A great career is never an accident. You don't wish a great career to come upon you. It's a result of deliberate work. It's a result of intention. It's a result of action. You find out that in our parents' days, when there was job stability, you can find out that someone will be in one ministry, although moving around several departments for the whole 35 years. In fact, that's what they brought us up to believe. You go to school, you graduate. If you are in Nigeria, or you know how our educational system works, at the time you are graduating, there's a car waiting for you, courtesy of the government. There's accommodation and everything. So our parents encouraged us to go to school, and with that mindset, so that we could work in the civil service or be valuable. Excuse me. At that time, there were not so many businesses. So it was either you were going back into the academia, or you were getting into the civil service. But so at that time, so because everything was on auto, there were jobs for everybody. There was really no need to focus on building careers, because you know that if I join this ministry, there's a tendency that that's where I would retire. So the next 35 years of my life is guaranteed. But here we are today. it's a totally different ball game. In other, as at the last unemployment rates, I think it was almost, it had crossed over 30%. And implication is that a quarter of our active population in Nigeria is unemployed. So you can imagine if you are churning out 10 graduates, at least 1 in 3. So it's a very alarming figure. So there are no guaranteed jobs anywhere. The job market responds to the degree of the value that you have to offer. And these days, who says that you have to graduate literally before starting out on a career? Now I'm focusing on the employment market, as it were, and not on entrepreneurs. So it's not saying that entrepreneurs cannot have careers, but it's not the traditional career movement. I'll talk about that a bit more as we go along. Please, if you lose me at any point, let me know in the chat box. Okay, so the career planning process starts with self-awareness. And again, because the career journey is rarely linear. In other words, there's no guarantee that, okay, so as I'm in school, they'll come and teach you how to identify your passion, how to grow your career, and it's just linear like that. You can find out that it is in your mid-level, your mid-career, that you begin to take the subject of career planning seriously. I'm sure some of us on this call, that would be your experience. You probably just stumbled into a job, or maybe a relative helped you and got you a job, or maybe you just got something, putting body and soul together. But you've never really taken time to think about the future, because really career planning is about future-proofing your work life. In other words, you're not taking just anything that life hands you. You are being deliberate and you are being intentional about it. So it starts with self-awareness. And why? What's the role of self-awareness? You know that adage that says work is fun when you love what you do. As much as possible, it's not a guarantee that everybody will get a job in their line of passion, but there should be maybe out of 1 in 5 qualities that you have in the particular field that you have chosen. The most successful doctors, for instance, are those that had the vision, are wired literally. It's not saying it can't be learned. So it's not like as you go along, also as you become more self-aware, because I'm sure if I were to take a poll and to ask how many people are working with their degrees, so you studied biochemistry in school, now you are in biochemistry, particularly again, understanding the Nigerian educational system. I have people who studied Yoruba and language that are working in banks and are very successful bankers. So most of the time, it rarely has anything to do with your certificate or what you learn in school. It's about yourself, it's about your passion, it's about how well you can project value to the world. So a clue, really, and that's why we've said it's part of your feedback. So your pastimes, your hobbies, your past accomplishments. So if you're saying, how do I know what the right career is for me? My answer to you would be to look inwards. What do you really like to do? For instance, I stumbled into human resources, but I realized looking back and getting feedback from my siblings and all, that there are certain things I just like to do. I just really love to organize, and those are skills that I use very well today. I love to communicate, and those are skills. So you can see how transferable skills find their way into. So if you'd asked me 20 years ago, would you be an HR? I would probably tell you that I wanted to be a doctor or an engineer. So as you become more self-aware, some of these traits come out, and it's easy to put yourself in the peg where you belong. Then also your skill sets, because passion alone is never enough. For instance, I don't know, those the architects, those people that use tracing paper and all that. That's a skill that some people have. They're really good with it, but it's a skill that is no longer relevant, because in 2 minutes, you have your computer-aided design and drafts, and you can do all of that. You have your Revit, you have so many software that can do that. Or some people will tell you, I love typing. Now you have computers, you even have speech to text. So I don't need the skill of a typist or a secretary anymore. So regardless of whether it's your passion or what you love to do, it's no longer relevant. So your skill sets, your interests, your transferable skills. So these are pointers. Remember I said it's not a one-size-fits-all, but they are pointers. Then also the matching opportunities in the job market. What is available now with the advent of, after the pandemic, the world has gone digital. Everything is changing rapidly. So what kind of jobs are available? I was looking at a banking report and they were telling us skills, roles like the branch manager, the BMs, the salespeople are becoming very obsolete because the world is moving towards e-banking and the fintechs are not helping very much. So in fact, the survival of the banking sector would require very innovation to survive in the next couple of years. Then also in some other countries, you don't need for your basic legal advisory, there are bots that can predict with a very high level of accuracy. So imagine you're a fresh graduate out of school and you're saying, so you really need to look at the market and be able to identify the skill sets that will be relevant in that market per time. So I've been running very quickly now. So talking about the blueprints for career success. So what are the things that would make for a successful career, or what are the patterns? So how will I know, or how can I begin to build a career that will stand the test of time? The first, like I said, because it's the entries, you need to position right to get into the job market. So here I'm speaking to our fresh graduates or people still in school. So previously, once you get out of school, you print your CV, print and make many copies, and you begin to go from door to door, from organization to organization, dropping your CV. In fact, there's this phrase, I beg to apply, and in fact, in movies, if you see those movies, in fact, once you see an applicant with the shape of his shoes, almost looking like a boat, you know that, this one has really walked the length and breadth of the city trying to get a job. But now a lot of things has changed. In fact, there's a tendency that by the time you're applying for a job, like 10,000 people, and it's just one role, like 10,000 people are also applying for that same job. So how do you stand out? How do you distinguish yourself? How do you make yourself visible to your prospective employer? For those of you, again, that want to get into paid employment, first is you need to be creative, but first you need to define who you are. There's a lot of talk about branding, and no thanks to our motivational speakers, everything is perspire to aspire, so that you will not desire what you fire, so everybody just says focus on branding, but not so much is being said about the value. So you can imagine how disappointing it will be if you have packaged, there's a slang, packaging. You have packaged the length and breadth of yourself, but by the time you have the platform, it's all air. So as you are doing your personal branding, as you are putting yourself out there, as you are building visibility, it's also important to make sure that the value, because the job market responds to value. Nobody really cares about how much certification you have. We're going to be talking about that in a bit more detail. It's about what can you do? What value do you have to offer? How do you position yourself? Because again, there's no point being great at what you do if nobody knows how great you are. So that's where leveraging certain platforms like social media come in to project yourself. I think it was Prof that shared the story of a young man who was eventually hired by System Spec, I think. And that was because he came out and was developing cases. And the System Spec saw it and they were very impressed at what he had done. And he got automatic employment. He didn't. And so those are, you can say that's a one-off, but if it's a one-off, why can't it be you? So find what you are really great at, develop your skills, and look for the value that you can add. So I'm happy also for those of you on this call, the whole Tekedia mini MBA platform, it opens your eyes to innovation. So it could be a prospective employer, it could be in your present place of employment. What additional value? Because a lot of times what you find out that what's in your JD is only the basic. You cannot get beyond where you are just following strictly your JDs and your KPIs. You should be able to add value to the business. And in summary, in 3 aspects, you can look at their revenue. So do you have an idea that can help them generate more money as a business? You can look at the aspect of cost reduction. So what can you do? It can be a proposal. And these are really very practical. So look at the length and breadth of your business. If you don't understand it, go and make friends in other departments. So rather than saying, because the truth is these days, it's really not about how long you've been in a place. You'll be amazed. Small, young, fresh graduates will come and they'll get more juicy roles compared to you. And, you know, the typical employer has is more favorable towards the younger joiners, because they are the way they think, the level of innovation and flexibility. So you can be there, say, you, this small boy, in fact, where were you when I was graduating? You must probably have still been wearing diapers and all that. It really doesn't count. The employer is looking for value. So in the area of cost reduction, what can you do? You can even be in the area of process efficiency or customer satisfaction. That's 4 of them. So look at those areas typically in your business if you are employed already. If you are not, you can begin to study, and the internet has so many resources. So you shouldn't be amongst the people. Yes, it's good to have fun, entertainment, and showbiz is great in Nigeria, but you should be the kind of person that makes your data work for you. Every time you go online, how are you adding value to yourself and to the world? So that's the first step. Then secondly, to have a successful career, you need to survive the shock, because really it's tough. Okay, and this is not to scare those of you that are about to get into the job market, but it can be really tough. So in managing your boss, for instance, and research has shown that your boss plays a very significant role in how you are going to grow in your career. So leveraging that relationship, managing your boss, managing sidewards, your peers, what kind of relationship, because the truth is in rooms where you are not, or where you don't have opportunity, someone would have to speak for you. So if you don't have a good relationship with your boss, with your peers, or even your subordinates. So I call it the 3 dimensions of managing. So you're managing up, which is your boss, you're managing sideways, which is your peers, and you're managing down if you have people reporting to you. So how you navigate those relationships will have a very significant impact on how fast you grow on, or how robust your career is. I'm going to be running very quickly now. Then in order to thrive, so it's not like you get somewhere and you just relax and say, oh, I have arrived. No, it's a lot more than that. You need to imagine the Tony Elumelus of this world. They are still constantly speaking to mentors. They are studying, trying to get better at what they do. So in order to thrive is an intentional and deliberate effort. So also very quickly, I'm hoping that in the course of our Q&A, we can elaborate on this a bit more. So there are some career myths that I would hope to be able to bust tonight. And I'm hoping that the rest of our conversation would revolve around this. The first is my good work will speak for me. Let me tell you, I'm sorry to bust your bubble. Work doesn't speak. Okay, people speak for people. So no, in fact, I wish that someone had told me earlier on when I started my career journey. I thought being the good girl and being great at what you do is what would earn you your promotion. Yes, some 50, 35 years ago, that may have been true, but now it is no longer so. Work doesn't speak, people speak, people give recommendations to people, people open doors, people give people platforms to excel or to exhibit their skills. So this is me saying, good work never speaks. So if you're one of those people that thought that, please begin to reprogram your mind. The secondly is Google is my best friend. I don't need a mentor. I'm sorry to bust your bubble again. Google would only give you information. In between the information, there are several curves and mountains and hills that you have to navigate. So as much as possible, you need someone for accountability. Google will not give you accountability. And I'm sure you know by now that life is never black or white. Okay, so Google also will not tell you all of that. So it's important to know that in spite of Google being your best friend, you still need someone to hold you accountable as you embark on your career journey. The third myth is my list of certifications will get me an ideal job. The truth is, like I said at the beginning, it's value. The market responds to value. In fact, I was chatting with a young graduate who was about to travel abroad for his master's. So I think he had an agent, and he asked me, okay, so if I spend so much trying to get my master's, what kind of job will I get when I come back? And I told him, whether you have 10 degrees, stringing behind you by the time you get back, you are still an entry-level person, and you cannot do more than 200K. And he said, what? You think I'm going to spend all this investment? I said, it's a journey, right? Because the truth is, it's not your degrees that would give you, your degrees will probably open doors, but it's the skill and the experience, particularly in this side of the world. We place a premium on the value that you have. So being in school or getting the certification will only give you an opportunity, but it won't take you to the top all of a sudden. Then also, organizational politics is no good. I'm sure you know by now that man is a political animal. So if you're also one of those people that say, oh, politics, so I'm not saying that you should go and become a politician, so to speak, but you need to be able to engage. Called the healthy world. Maybe we should even stop calling this phrase organizational politics. We should call it stakeholder engagement, because it's also part of managing, the 3 dimensions. You should be able, the more fans literally that you have in the workplace, the more likely you are going to thrive in your career. And I'm not saying that you should begin to compromise your values, not at all. Your values should remain the same, but your behavior can change. In other words, if you get into a place that is very traditional and you go calling your MD, oh, you say, oh, I'm a Milena. You go and call your MD or your chairman by name. Oh, hi, Jones, how are you doing? Or hi, Anthony. So you should learn to read the room, as it were, and align your behavior, but your values shouldn't be compromised. I hope we have time to talk about that a bit more. Then building a strong personal brand, this is another myth, is a sign of disloyalty to an employer. The truth is, an employer is only loyal to his bottom line. As in the case of Jack, when we started, Jack thought that, oh, if I give all my life to this employer, then I'm going to be the better off for it. Not necessarily. So as much as possible, I'm not saying that you should begin to moonlight or have other jobs on the side. There are even arguments now about the value that side hustles bring. But the truth is that your brand, your organization should be able to deliver and exceed expectations on your job, but you should be able to have a personality outside the office. And the truth is, social media is free for use in that regard. Then also working with SMEs in the setback. I've met a number of graduates who feel that, okay, because they didn't have the opportunity to get into any of the big fours, the big four in the accounting, that's your PwC, the EY, so that means their careers are taking a downward. So the truth is, not necessarily. In fact, what a lot of people don't know is that SMEs are a very good training ground, very excellent training ground, particularly for fresh or those in early careers, because you learn the work, as it were. I remember a story someone said about there was this businessman. He had hired, some people had worked in big fours, and he also had his team, that grew the business with him. So one of them, the big four people, by the time they got it, in fact, the culture shock alone, he came one day and was saying, oh, what happened? I wanted to print. There's no ink in the printer. And someone said, Oga, calm down. When the ink does that, you will remove it from the big printer and you shake it and you put it back. So that's part of the resilience that you learn, when you are working in an SME, because everything is not automated like you have in the multinational. So you have to learn how to do it the calculus way. You will bring paper and biro and you will calculate if you're in a multinational, everything is automated. Just punch in, the results come out. I remember also someone used to tell me that if you want very good accountant, go and hire people that went to Polytechnic between this time and this time. Those are the people that know the bookkeeping. Because truth is, softwares can fail. Yes, I know that, that's contestable. But the truth is, if you know the rudiments, it's easy for you to manipulate. So working with an SME, if you have an opportunity to work in an SME, please embrace it by all means. Not everybody will have the opportunity to get into a big four or a multinational. So embrace it. build your skills, and who knows, later on in your career, you can be the one consulting for some of these multinationals. Then also, there's just one perfect job for me. Absolutely not. So because we are very dynamic humans, right? You can fit in everywhere. Remember, I talked about transferable skills at the beginning. So there are things that you can do and do really, really well. So if I'm patient, I will eventually get into the right career. The truth is, because there's no perfect career per se, as the opportunity comes. So instead of you to say, no, my dream is to be an accountant. So there's a job as a salesperson. I'm not taking, I'm waiting for that big accountant job. You are better off take up that sales job, because the kind of skills you're going to build will still be relevant when you eventually get to your dream job. And who knows, you may even get to discover that, oh, you had an innate passion, or there are certain skills that you have that can make you an excellent salesperson. So that's also very important. Then also, I would have a successful career because I'm in a job or a field I love. Absolutely no, it doesn't work that way. Remember, I said there are external factors, so to speak. So rather, aside from the passion, aside from your competence, remember I mentioned your boss, remember I mentioned your stakeholder engagement skills and the rest of that. Then my career growth is dependent on my employer. Absolutely not. Your career growth is your responsibility. And let me also mention that there's a difference between career growth and development. So growth is just more like lateral. So you are going through the ranks. So maybe you enter as an officer, then they promote you to executive, then senior officer, then you are going to deputy manager. So you are growing, particularly for those in public service. So you just grow like that. But development has to do with depth of expertise. So as you are growing, make sure that you are also developing. You are growing your skill set. You are becoming globally relevant. That's so important to note. Then also, I'll be happy once I get my ideal job. This is another myth, and a lot of people, unfortunately, don't really realize this until very late in life. Okay, so I'm moving very quickly now. Okay, so what's the blueprint?
So faculty, you can speak up to 45 minutes. There's no problem. I think you are very, very elaborate. Our members will understand. Go ahead, man. Just take your time.
Thank you very much, Prof. I appreciate. Okay, so what's the blueprint? So like we've said, this is more like putting everything together. So in the course of your career journey, you make sure that you are developing technical and domain expertise. What does this mean? It means in your particular field, so you are aware of the global trends. You are not a local player or a local champion, like we say. You need to develop. So in your core job, don't just be doing packaging everywhere. Make sure that you know the thing. In fact, if you are looking for people in a particular field, they should be able to point out to Alex or Itayo or Ayomide that, no, when it comes to IFRS, she's the go-to person. Then aside this, and this is where a lot of professionals miss it, particularly those in the core professions. I see a lot of engineers, brilliant engineers, but they make a mess of their careers. Also, not deliberately though, because they lack the relevant soft skills. You hear them saying, oh, sorry, this is the way I am. This is where I am, so nobody can work with you. In fact, everybody wants them to just promote you to another department because you are saying although you are good at the job, you are saying this is the way you are, the way you relate, the soft skills. In fact, there are conversations these days that soft skills should be changed to life skills, because the truth is the soft skills are the game changer. It doesn't matter how fantastic you are on the job. If you don't relate well with people, nobody will want to work with you. And if nobody wants to work with you, who's going to let you know when bigger doors open? People need people. In fact, I think it was Jack Cranfield that said, people do business with those they know, they like, and they trust. So if nobody knows you because you believe you're a loner, it's just me and my job. So even except you're an inventor, even inventors have a healthy relationship. So people have to know you, people have to like you, and people have to trust you. So in the likable factor, it's not like you have become a sycophant or you can't speak your truth and the rest of that. But you should be able to some extent be able to relate healthily. Don't be brash. Don't be someone that once you come into the room, everybody just begins to say, oh, I forgot I'm going for lunch and the rest of that. So those relational skills are very critical. How do you communicate? I remember one of my friends was telling me that he was very qualified. He's been in the organization for a long time, but they kept bypassing him for director role. And he was wondering why, and he was fantastic at what he does. But it was because, after having a conversation with him, it was because of his soft skills. He didn't understand stakeholder engagement. He didn't understand how to relate, how to communicate. And communication is beyond knowing how to speak English. How do you put your points across? You may be the one with the brightest idea, but are you able to communicate it in such a way that it makes sense to the other person? So these are skills. Nobody is born with it completely, totally. These are skills that you build as you go on in your career journey. Then also understand career development options in your field and in your industry. So unfortunately, for those of us is still in school. I hear, I hope it's not happening anymore. Computer science students used to learn Fortran 77. So you can imagine what's the relevance of Fortran 77 in a 2021, for instance. So what are the opportunities in your industry? Like I mentioned earlier, you need to be a global player. And again, the internet has so many opportunities. There are so many apps. There is Udemy, there is Coursera. You can subscribe for the free, the paid courses. Be deliberate, be intentional about developing yourself, because the job market or life generally responds to the amount of value that you have to offer. Then embrace lifelong learning and personal development. I can't emphasize this enough. You really never arrive in your career. So even if you are MD or CEO, there is still a need for you to constantly grow. I don't know how many of us know about the Nokia experience or even Kodak. A few years ago, who would have thought that the great Kodak would go on the ground? So it's a process of lifelong learning, both for individuals and businesses. It's important to grow with the times. Then also leverage your personal and your professional network. This Tekedia Mini MBA is a fantastic way for you to do that. So are you just coming online, reading the courses? You are not connecting. If you have teams you have to do tasks with, how do you project what you can do? You may feel that, oh, I'm not, maybe you are the one that has very good analytical skills. You can volunteer and do cases. Just bring yourself out. So leverage those networks. Then also, does your neighbor, or are you the kind of person that doesn't talk to your neighbor? Do they know what you do, so that you never know when the opportunities will come? Can they refer you and all of that? Then you need to build a credible professional brand. So if I were to ask you now, if your name comes up, what's the first thing that will come up about you? So let me see who's here, for instance, so I can see Francis. So if someone mentions Francis and mentions your surname, what's the first thing? So that's how to know your brand, the kind of, and your brand, you can be projecting one thing and your attitude or your behavior is bringing up something else. So you need to be able to be deliberate about building a credible professional brand. Then also the issue of visibility. So as you build, make sure that you are visible. Make sure that people know you. And LinkedIn is a fantastic platform for that. You can use it. You can use it to build. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether you get a job from LinkedIn or not. But the truth is, if you are able to position yourself as someone who is knowledgeable in a field, just reading or stumbling on your profile, when it's a recognition system thing. So when someone is looking for a project manager or someone is looking for a document controller, and I've stumbled upon, you commenting the way you comment. There are some people that comment on Prof's platform. Once there's an opportunity, I know who to call. And you never know. People are looking for people like that. Oh, you are not the only person saying, oh, Aluta. Yes, it's good to say Aluta, but you need to be mindful about the kind of brand and how you are positioning yourself. Because one thing a lot of people don't know is that these days employers go on social media. They profile you based on your social media pages. I remember, and one very popular broadcaster, she said she lost an opportunity because of something she had posted and totally forgot about. I also remember a friend, the person posted something online. It was a senior colleague that called her, please better go and delete that thing. you know, because she was going to seek residency status in a particular country. So the person advised that if they ever trace you and trace this comment to you, you'll be doing yourself more harm than good. So while you project yourself, you need to be careful about the way that you go about your visibility. There is also negative visibility, don't forget. Then also develop an entrepreneurial mindset. So what does this mean? Can you be in an employment? So you say, but I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm still in paid employment. Yes, you can be in paid employment, but you can have what an entrepreneurial mindset is, an ownership mindset. So yes, the company is giving you, but you are also giving much more. And the truth is, what a lot of people don't know, while you are in paid employment, you are actually an apprentice. So even if the company culture is not as robust or as flexible as you would have loved it to be, consider yourself an apprentice on that job. Because the truth is, as you do that job properly, you are developing skills, you are developing capabilities that will be relevant to you, either still when you are still in paid employment on some other jobs, or when you decide to go solo or to launch your own business. So while yes, you collect your paycheck, it's month end now. Some people have collected salary. Some people are waiting to collect salary. So beyond that, always ask yourself, what value have I projected to my employer? Then stakeholder management, I talked about this. So how do you manage up, sideways, and down? They are very key to determining the health of your career. Then also improving your emotional quotient. Everything now is about EQ. So you can be intelligent, but if you have very poor EQ skills, you are not going to go very far. So with what I've said, let me just do a quick check. If you were to define where you were in your career, in other words, I'm coming with my career meter to measure the 52 participants on this call. How would you rate yourself? I'm going to listen carefully. I'm going to give 3 categories. So based on everything I've said and based on you, you know your truth. How would you rate yourself? So if you are very happy with where you are in your career, in fact, you are on a career high, type yes. If you are on a career high, you are loving, you are so loving where you are, you feel, oh, I'm in career heaven, type yes. If it's a so situation, you're like, oh, we're just surviving, no, it's not good, it's not bad, it's in the middle, type whoa. Not whoa as in W-O, type whoa. If it go better, like we say in Niger, it go better. If you are in an it go better situation, type whoa. Okay? Then if it's going south, you are just tired of this thing that they call career, type ha. Okay, Francis, I see you, I'm seeing you. And the truth is, I need to be honest with you, right? I have been in all these 3 phases before, but I have good news. So if you are in a war or a hard situation, I want you to know that it's only for a while. You know, you just need to re-strategize and reposition yourself, and you are going to be absolutely fine. There's nobody that you see today that has had a totally smooth career ride. Okay, so I want you to be encouraged regardless of where you are, because you are the sole determinant, remember I said so, of your career experience, of your career journey. Thank you very much for the responses. Tobe, Henrietta, Jennifer, I see you all. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so this is wrapping it up, and this is my last slide. This is just putting everything together. So like I said, a great career doesn't happen by chance. It's a result of very deliberate effort, and you should be able to leverage resources. I'm happy some of you have paid for this course. That's you leveraging your resources for a healthy career, investing in yourself. So whether your company sent you here or you are self-sponsored, you are a step in the right direction. So in leveraging resources, it's going to cost you time, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost you energy, whatever it is. It's going to cost you sacrifice, because you could have been doing, it's not Friday, you can spend your time doing TGIF and jumping all over the place. But the fact that, you know, you make up your mind to develop yourself on purpose is commendable. So there's a cure, an acronym I got from a senior friend. It's called CUIRE. So in leveraging resources, you need to cross-skill, Because the truth is, like I said, so if you are also in a career that is in a declining mode, there are skill sets that within the next few years, they're going to be obsolete. So you need to cross-skill, you need to upskill, reskill, and expert skill. Okay, then leveraging time. You need to focus on growth and development. Regularly appraise your career position. Very important. And that's what I try to do with you with the career meter. So ask yourself, where am I? Where do am I where I plan to be? What adjustments do I have to make? And all that. Then remember, always remember, be a global player. You should be able to benchmark against fellow professionals in Asia, in Europe, and the rest of that, because it's a global world now. There's a term now, the rise of the digital nomads. So I can be here and have a job in Kazakhstan. Will I meet the employment standards of that country? You know, so it's and the competency level is very important. You need to be able to prepare to compete as a global talent. Then connect, don't just be quiet. I'm not saying you should become a nuisance, but be visible everywhere you are. Join the smallest association. If you are still in school, please get into your departmental association. If you're out of school, find an alumni association and join. If you are a professional, you have Foreign, CIPM, all the bankers association. Make sure that you join and you are active and you connect. Leverage those relations. If you are in Tekedia, how many pals have you made from this opportunity? Because it's people that refer people. Remember, I said work doesn't speak. People speak for people and give recommendations. So let people know you. Leverage your mentors, sponsors, and coaches. These are different categories you need, and the jobs they do are different. So it's very important to leverage those relationships. Then use technology to amplify what you do and how great you are at doing it. So I think I would wrap up here and wait for your questions, feedback, and comments. Thank you very much. I hope you found the engagement insightful. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. So please let the questions come.
Thank you so much, Fagoti. That was an excursion. I think a very great festival indeed. So we are truly honored to have you here. Thank you so much. It's always good when the experts do their thing. Thank you, thank you. So we have the first question here, and we just get straight to it. Okay. And okay, I saw your hand being raised up. Okay, go ahead, please. Unmute yourself and speak. Thank you. So many comments here. Okay, so I have a question here from the board. Faculty is asking, what will you recommend for someone in the public sector where promotions are not based on productivity or efficiency, but on number of years served on career planning?
All right, thank you very much for that question. And that's the reality, you know, in public sector. So what I would advise is for you to leverage your professional brand, because the truth is, you know, unfortunately so, right? Unfortunately so, the Nigerian public sector is structured that way, you know, so it's really about your presenteeism, not necessarily your value. So use your brand, project your expertise, and get your satisfaction, as it were, somewhere. So who says you can't get a big consulting contract? You know, and a lot of public sector people have a lot of time on their hands. So please develop yourself. Don't get lost in the fact that, oh, since this sector doesn't focus on value, then you just go with the times. No, what happens, God forbid, if there's a retrenchment and you're affected? So for you, if you're still young, you're vibrant, please build your professional brand and project your talent. You have so much value to give to the world that you can't afford to be quiet. So use other platforms, use social media, use your professional association. I know a lot of public sector people that have become big time consultants. Okay, so use it to give value to the world and make some extra money for yourself if you are so inclined. Thank you. I hope I answered that question.
Okay, thank you. I have. How do you decide? Please, if you have any question, raise your hand. Okay, Francis, go ahead, please. I think
yes,
you have so many
Francis
here.
And Abel.
Yeah, Francis, go ahead. You are live. So let's take the live one. Speak. Oh,
hi, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Can you hear
me? Good evening, Francis.
Yes,
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you so much for the discussion. It was very insightful. So my question is, so when you asked the question, when you did the career meter, I said yes, but so I'm in a career where I'm having like very good time. Yeah, my only challenge with the career, with like where I am now, is the pay. So I'm in a very good place. They invest in my learning a lot. I just got they just sent me to Lagos Business School to do a course recently. So a lot of investment, but then the pay is not very good. And then I'm in this at this stage where I'm thinking, should I? These people are investing in my career development. So do I look at this place, this area where they are developing me, or should I also look at the pay? Because I also want to get good pay at the end of the day. So I'm just thinking, what would you advise? Because I've had like conversations with my upline, and so there's like this a lot of up and downs going on with having to make this salary change or salary increment. So I'm thinking that I'll just leave, but I'm also looking at it from this point that these guys have also invested in me and they have believed in me, because like in the pace at which I have gone, I think just few people have risen in that pace in the organization. Yeah, so I don't know, what would you advise?
All right, thank you very much, Francis. Very insightful question. And I'll confess I've been in that position before, so I can totally relate. Okay, the truth is the best gift anybody can give you is your development, right? So first, in that regard, your employer has done really well, because in these days where businesses are struggling to stay afloat, the first thing is, and the average employer will just want to be able to pay salaries, right? So any other thing you get is in fact, is gold. So you should value an employer that invests in your development. However, I understand you're a young man and you probably just want to earn more, okay, and which is okay. Yes. But again, I'll ask you to evaluate your options critically. Okay, look at it, because the truth is, because I know in those days, and for those of us that are familiar with the legal profession, if you want to learn on that Gani, they won't pay you. Do you understand? But when you come out and you can say, oh, I learned under Chief Gani Fawemi, the kind of doors that will open all of a sudden. There are times I've had to take a pay cut. I've had to take a pay cut severally, but today I'm the better for it. So I want to just say, be patient, right? If that's the right word, to learn all you can. Also, I don't know your level in terms of your competence and your skill set. Okay, but please, any employer that will send you to an LBS is not joking. Okay, so also you want to find out, I'm happy that you have also initiated the conversation with your line manager. So is it really a genuine case of where the business is struggling? Or the salary structure is just really steep. Okay, so what can you do? Are there possibilities of promotions? Would there be an opening soon? Is there something you can explore? Because I also know of organizations that offer incentives. So yes, your salary may be small, but if you do something, maybe you bring a sale or a referral or something, the kind of incentive. So do you have those kind of structures in place? But if you ask me, I would tell anybody any day, put your development above money. Money will chase you later. Someone was just telling me over the weekend that there is this new practice that has started in a particular sector. They are still talking to you. You have not resumed though. You just see one heavy alert. There are some alerts that when you get, your phone will shake. So just use this one to calm down so that you will know that we are interested in. You have not worked though. Do you understand? So for you to be able to command that kind of respect is because you have spent time in the early days developing yourself. Okay, so please evaluate it critically. If you want to reach out to me later, no problem. I'll make my contact available. But consider your options carefully. But you are in a good place if you ask me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much. So let's go to Abel, please. Abel.
Okay.
Abel, please.
Hi, good evening, faculty.
Hello, Abel. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the fantastic session. Okay, so I'm actually asking this question for a friend because she has once asked me the question and I felt like I'm sorry, I was a bit unable to fully answer the question. So I just want to gain perspective from you and then be able to respond more, I'm sorry, more reflectively to a question. So the question is more around someone in tech space. So she's been having these kind of maybe she's having this difficulty in, I mean, following trends. You know, the changes that happen in the tech space is really is really strong. So she's been finding it really difficult to cope. So she's now considering probably she just needs to switch career or something. So, and I looked at this as more like maybe she's being lazy or something. I don't know. I don't want to call her a lazy type, but what do you advise that I should just tell this person? That's what I just feel like I should ask. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Abel, for that question. I totally agree with you. Okay, she's probably suffering from information overload. Okay, this tech space is very dynamic. Okay, but what I'll advise is, I'm not also sure where she is in her career journey, if she's an entry, mid, or senior level professional. What usually helps in cases like this is to try to specialize. So it's not like you are chasing everything coming. Okay, so if I also don't encourage people in early careers to specialize, okay, because you narrow your chances. Yes, there's expert level knowledge, but you are better off first as a generalist, then later you specialize. So it's two things. It's two things, honestly. So either she needs to have and this is where a mentor can provide guidance. She needs to have an honest conversation. Is it really that I'm scared? Is it that because some people, once the information gets too much, it's challenging processing. So it could be, analysis paralysis now that it's called. So you are just scared. Oh, this one, you are learning Java. Another one has come out. In our days, it's Visual Basic we used to use to program. Now there are all sorts of languages and it's enough to get overwhelmed. So, but if she can find an area of specialty and focus, that could help. Okay, then also maybe she wants to have an honest conversation with a mentor. Does she really feel like this is what she should be doing? But I tell you, there are a lot of opportunities in tech as well. Okay, because that's the future. So I wouldn't, depending on her choice, it's not a one size fits all situation, but I would really say she drills down and finds out if this is what she wants to do. If it's what she wants to do, then she can consider going into an area of specialty. So she's not chasing every trend that comes. But also because it's very dynamic, she needs to be able to grow very fast as well. But I would suggest she gets a mentor if she doesn't have, or if she has, she should have an honest conversation with her mentor, because if she wants to stay relevant, then she has to move with the times. I hope that answered your question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So do we still have more questions? Usually because we are just on the day, will not be maybe in the next 2-3 minutes. We just take 2-3 more minutes for our faculty, then we will round it up. So I have many questions here. If you can ask that question, Daniel, directly to faculty, since that what you are sending is coming directly to me, but let me read it. Faculty, how do you decide the deliberate efforts that will give the great career you desire? That's the question from Daniel.
Okay, Daniel,
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, so Daniel is asking how the efforts that will give you a great career is everything I've said here. You need to be able to balance it. So first, you are building your technical expertise. So you are attending conferences, you are attending webinars, you are investing in your development as a professional. Secondly, you are building your soft skills. So you are deliberate about building your critical thinking, your problem solving, your communication, all of those skills that come into your EQ is very important, because like I said, it's people that make careers. People refer people. People open doors for people. Work doesn't speak. Okay, so you're also leveraging your relationships. So if you remember the last slide, I think, where the 3 layers, so leveraging time, leveraging relationships, leveraging resources. So those three, if you balance it well, you would most likely, more often than not, have a very healthy career. So you are managing your stakeholders well, you are built, and remember this thing, you can't read about emotional intelligence if you are not putting it to work. And it's a skill. The more you use it, the more you develop. It's like communication. The more you practice good communication, the better you get at it. So build your EI, build your professional credibility, leverage your relationships, and project yourself out there. You're going to find that you're on a path to a very great career. Thank you very much.
Okay, Arinza, are you there? Please, Arinza, you could take over. Thank you. There are questions on the board, please.
Yeah. All right. So if you do have questions, please ensure to send them to the chat and also use the raise hand feature so you can ask your question directly. Okay. So Ma, yes, if you could leave your contact information. Yeah. So use the raise hand feature and or send your questions directly to the chat. We are still entertaining questions. Okay, so we have one here from Daniel. Hello, Good evening, everyone. My questions goes to Prof. So we are reading it out so that those people that are watching from the board and from the YouTube can also like have a grasp of what the question was as your answer. So we've been told that a great career is not by chance, but by deliberate efforts. So my questions are, how do you decide the deliberate efforts that will give you the great career you desire? Also, how does one build oneself to become someone of great value and importance in one's chosen field, career in this era?
All right, thank you very much. So this is very similar to the question I just asked. How do you build yourself? First, you will attend conference, read everything readable, make Google your best friend, interact, and LinkedIn is a wonderful platform for doing that. But also, if you're not following the right people on LinkedIn, then you may not be able to leverage that much. So be deliberate. So if you are an accountant, for instance, sometimes just Google what are the latest trends in accounting. If you are in human resources, what should an HR or how do I become an excellent HR professional? If you are in which other field? So sometimes just type in those things. Then there are a lot of webinars now. In fact, one of the gifts of COVID or the pandemic is that learning has been accelerated online. There is LinkedIn Learning. Go and sign up for some of those courses. If you are still someone that you are not very good in your Excel skills, okay, go and learn it. Depending on your field, that is, some fields your Excel, advanced Excel will be more relevant than your presentation. In fact, everybody should be able to do brilliant presentation. There is Canva. Go and learn how to use Canva. You know, so if you are a programmer, go and find out what the latest trends are. Invest in your development, cross-skill, upskill, strive to become better. That's with respect to the technical. Then with the soft skills also, develop your soft skills. One other good thing that having someone you're accountable to is it helps you, because there's something called the blind spot. I don't know how many of us have heard of the Johari window, right? So there's a part of you that is visible to other people, but you don't know yourself that much. And that's what relationships and interaction, not having people, yes sir, people in your corner, but people that can honestly tell you that, I think you are not very open to taking feedback. I used to be like that once. I used to get very defensive when you are giving me feedback. Do you understand? So it took an introspection for me to now be able to keep an open mind. Because the truth is, the more self-aware you are, the more you are open to feedback. So if you have people that you can have such honest conversations with, that is brilliant. That's where you can leverage relationships. So have people in your workspace, people, maybe your older colleagues. That's also the benefit of joining all these associations. So if you are in your engineering association, you are in your HR profession, you are in your whatever field you are in. If you don't have an association, you go and start one. If you have an old boys, old girls, attend their meetings, be visible, make a friend. You know, I'm not saying you should now be making everybody your best friend, but you can leverage those relationships professionally. Don't stall people, but let people know that you are genuine. Then leverage time. The times are changing so fast. Be able to evaluate yourself. and set a goal. One thing I used to do is every year I tell myself I must add a new certification to my kitty. Okay, so every year there is either I'm joining a new association or I'm adding a certification. Yes, certification for me at this stage, I've gotten the experience and all that. So it's for me now, the next thing is analytics. I'm going to learn analytics now. Because I'm applying it to my field of HR, I'm a more sought after person than someone that is doing personnel management, as it were. So you can see the next after this analytics, after I've perfected it, is project management for me. So you can see how my growth path is. I've done business management. Right, so you're not just calling me an HR person. I'm a business partner. I'm a business manager, and with that, what have I done? I've broadened my skills. So if I'm looking for a job now, it's not necessarily a HR job. It's a COO level I'm looking at because I have invested in myself and I've exercised. So I don't know if you get the picture I'm painting. So leverage relationships. If you have these three in mind, you will do well. So let all the relations do a relationship audit. The people that are not adding value to your life, keep them in one corner and look for people that will add value to your life. And as you do that, you also make sure that you're adding value to others. Liberate time. So every month, read a book. Every year, get a certification. Join an association. Invest in yourself. Improve in yourself. Let your employer know that you are bringing value to the business. And let me quickly add, value does not necessarily mean in your role. Okay, so you can make friends in other units and find out what they are doing. As you do that, you are learning for yourself. And who knows, you can just get the next big idea for the business. So these are practical ways that you can navigate that. I hope I answered your question. I see hands up.
Thank you very much, faculty. That was really very insightful. And one thing I personally gained from that was ensure you are always learning. Like ensure you are very open to learn, and in learning you leverage research, you leverage your time, and also relationships. Thank you very much. So Sam Victor, your hand was up before. I don't know why it's down. I don't know if you still have a question, but right now we'll just go straight to Okurunkwo. Okurunkwo, you can unmute and ask your question. Sam Victor, if you still have that question, you could use the raise hand feature and then you go next after Ebenezer.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, faculty. I'm so impressed by your discussion this evening. Thank you very much, man. I have a question, and my question goes like this. About mentorship. I know it could be necessary for career growth, but for some types of persons, getting mentors is kind of difficult for introverts, let's to say, and people like us. Sometimes I really do not know how to go about it, how to tell somebody about it. I would want you to mentor me, but I desire to have a mentor. How can we really break this bound and get this thing and grow our career? And another thing in relation to that is, must I get a mentor that's also in line with my career path? Somebody that is already practicing what I am already practicing, or should it be anywhere? That's my question.
All right, thank you so much, Okoronkwo, for that insightful question. This mentorship wahala, me too, I've experienced it. Let me tell you, in fact, there's this person that I really love, right? In fact, she's someone that, in one of the places I worked, she was a consultant, and I loved everything about her. So we were actually very good friends. We had a good relationship. I had her number. If I could chat her, she would respond. Only for me to say, I think this woman should be my mentor. Only for me to send her message. Can you imagine? Tell her, please, ma, I love what you do, blah, blah, blah. Please come and be my mentor. That was the last day she stopped answering my calls. See wahala. She stopped answering my calls. She stopped responding to my messages and all that. And that's how that relationship severed. Right? So sometimes, really, it can be a hassle. I agree with you. But looking back now, I think what I should have done, because, there's some form of chemistry in this mentorship thing. I get a lot of those requests, but the truth is, I can't mentor a stranger, I'm sorry. Okay, because, I'm going to be opening up myself, I'm going to be giving up myself. So what I usually suggest, rather than meeting a stranger, so to speak, in my case, it wasn't even a stranger because we had some level of, go and find how to serve. Okay, now as I am, there is somebody that I'm serving. Once she has a presentation, she's going to call me. Even if I'm in a meeting, middle of a meeting, I will take excuse. I'll use my break period to do the presentation for her and send to her. Do you understand? So first, rather than, yes, there are different approaches, right? But go and find someone to serve, go and build a relationship with that person. Then that way it's easier. Then also remember that being a mentor is not somebody that you are, it's not a parasitic relationship. It's symbiotic. In other words, the person is benefiting from you and you are benefiting from the person. So for me, the person I'm serving, in quote now, she gives me access. Okay, I don't think there's any professional I can talk to in my field, right? If I need a referral today, I will get many because I can talk to her and we have built this relationship. She had a project. She called me and said, can you help me? Oh, of course, if I don't help you, I'm not helping myself. Do you understand? So I understand for introverts, and being an introvert is not a negative stamp. Okay, it's just a personality that's the way you are, but you can enhance your value. Okay, so first, what can you do? What do you want to achieve from that mentoring relationship? To be able to set a goal. And so while you are still thinking of the person that you are going to approach to be your mentor or the person you are going to serve, write out your mentoring goals. What do I want to achieve? How long is this relationship going to be? If we are going to be engaging, is it WhatsApp call? Is it email? Because people don't also want people to stall them. People are busy, literally. So is it once a month? Is it once a quarter? So that way you are prepared. By the time you approach somebody, you can say, this is my mentorship charter. I have done everything. I promise I won't be a nuisance. I promise, so it's easier that way. But first things first, you need to define what you want to achieve, then look around. Okay, you ask if it must be in your specific career path, not necessarily. Okay, so you can have mentors for every area of your life. Okay, I'm not sure where you are in your career. You can have a professional mentor. You can have a financial mentor. You can have a family life mentor. You can have someone just to help you develop your confidence, your self-esteem. So if you want someone to help you build your self-esteem, I don't necessarily have to go and look for an HR person. I'll look for a communications person or a communications coach. So first sit down and ask yourself, what kind of support are you looking at? Then that way it will open your eyes to the specific things to look out for in your mentorship. Because I've also seen where mentors become tormentors. Don't let me even enter that place this night. Just I've seen mentors make slaves out of mentees or proteges. I've heard very many horror stories. In fact, there are some people that will tell you that mentorship thing I'm not doing. But if you're able to define it, if you're able to identify, then even when your mentor is beginning to tend towards an abusive relationship, you can quickly retrace yourself because you know what you want. So I hope I offered a bit of insight. So first, define what you want. Then secondly, begin to look around. It can be in your association, it can be on LinkedIn, but don't start the conversation with a stranger saying, I want you to become my mentor. If the person is organizing a program, make sure you are in all the person's program, both the paid ones, the online ones. That way begin a relationship first. Then it's easier to make that request. Thank you.
That's one of the most insightful answers I've heard to that particular question. I mean, it gets asked often and often, and many people don't always realize that it's supposed to be a mutual relationship. Thank you very much,
exactly. Thank you. So
I actually learned from that, and then if I were to add a few words, is to help you see that everyone actually has something to give, and everybody also needs something. So you actually have something to give, and then that mentor would be grateful for it. So you just have to figure it out. And how do you figure it out? You first of all, ask yourself, what's the goal? Why do I need a mentor? If you're able to define that, everything can fall in place easily. Then you check out the mentor and see what you can do. And many of the times, the best mentorship relationships are not necessarily deliberate. You say, hey, I'm your mentor and I'm your mentee. No, sometimes you just have a relationship and then you are learning actively from that person every day. So it doesn't have to be, I want you to be my mentor. I'm now a mentor. Take an offer letter, and then sometimes it can be informal, and then you get the most of it. So just define your mentorship goals and then get.
Thank you so much for that, Ayeni. It's so very on point.
All right, so we are still taking questions. I think we can take one last question before we close. All right, so Ahmed has that. That's the last question we'll be taking from the session.
Hello, good evening, ma.
Good evening,
good evening,
Abdullahi.
Ayeni. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the speech about, thank you for everything. It was really interesting, and about the mentorship. Recently, I had a friend who had a company, and he gave, because he's looking for a mentor, so he have to give the man like some percentage of his company due to mentorship. So as for me, I was thinking it's a bad idea for someone you've never met before, just online, but he believes the person worked in line with his business. So as for me, I think the most important thing for him to do is to maybe have a conversation, try to know more about him. Maybe on the Instagram page, LinkedIn, he might be writing something different. And in real life, he might be somebody different also. So what do you think about it? Maybe giving someone part of your shares just for mentorship. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Abdullahi. Well, anything that is forced, I don't believe it's right in the first place. I may not have all the details, but business that you did not invest in, you want to come and be collecting profit sharing. I think that's on the verge of tormentor. But again, like I say, there's a danger of listening to one side of the story. But like I said, also, there are also people that abuse the relationship. And it's easy for you to submit to an abuser if you don't know what you want. And like Arinze said, you don't even know your value as well. So except that person has is only that person that has the key to where I'm going, please, by all means, I wouldn't do it. Okay, given the sketchy details that you've shared, I wouldn't do it. I'll go and look for someone else, that can help me get to that journey closer. But I must also have something to offer. So maybe what you should do is ask your friend to do a really close introspection. Is this really what she wants to do? So otherwise, if it's forced, then I don't think it's right.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, we've come to the end of the session. Any closing notes from you, faculty?
Okay, closing notes. Well, I think we've had very robust conversations. Thank you very much. For those asking for my contact, let me quickly put it out here in the chat. So I would share my email. Sorry, pardon me, I'm trying to type it out in the chat so I don't miss it. Okay, so that's my email. My LinkedIn account, I don't understand. I'm not able to access it for now, but I'll just leave it all the same. I hope I can recover it soon. So LinkedIn. So I'm also typing my handle just in case. I'm hoping that I can recover it soon. Okay. So please feel free to connect. If you send an email, be assured that I will respond to you. Okay, so closing notes, this is just to wish everybody thriving careers. It'll be my joy for you to learn that, you'll be able to put some of these insights into practice. So feel free anytime. I'm available to offer support, to offer counsel, whatever it is, just to help you build a very budding career. This is a subject I'm very passionate about because a lot of times I wonder, why didn't I have access to this information? So for me, it's my personal mantra to make sure that nobody has to go through the pain or the hassle, I experienced at the beginning of my career. So this is wishing you all very successful careers, and I hope that we stay in touch. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Arinze. Thank you, Inky. The whole Tekedia team, you guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed myself this evening.
Thank you, facilitator.
Bless you.
Bye.
Thank you, faculty.
Thank you,
Thank
faculty.
you.
I really enjoyed
Thank
my
you. I
time.
see you
Thank
Good
all.
you a
night
Thank
to
you
lot.
so much.
everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, faculty. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night, Prof.